Hello, welcome back to How to Make a Game in Unity for Beginners. My name is Dustin, and what we did last time is we created this enemy little placeholder cylinder character that when we run into it, our player is going to die off and our level is going to reset itself. Um, so now what I want to do is I want to create some coins that we can kind of place around in our game for our player to collect and build some sort of scoring system. If you're enjoying this series, please make sure to like and subscribe down below the video. Um, but anyways, let's get started. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to create a new game object. We're gonna create a 3D sphere. I'm gonna rename this sphere to coin. I'm gonna reset the transform and I'm gonna bring it up on the y-axis by 1 so that it's on top of the ground. I'm going to drag this just below our player so that we can see it, and I'm going to scale it in on the z-axis down to probably about 0.1 just so it kind of flattens itself out and it looks a little bit more like a coin. So now I'm going to create a material for it just to give it a little bit of color. We're going to call this coin matte, and we're going to change the color to yellow. So now that we have that done, we can attach that to our coin. And what I want to do is, if we highlight our coin and go down to the sphere collider component, I want to check this box next to is trigger. So what that's going to do is going to make it so that this collider, we no longer necessarily run into it, but now we're going to run through it. And once we hit this coin, it's not going to stop our player from moving. We're just going to run right through it. So, but what that's going to do is going to allow us to still pull some code from running into this object. So what I want to do is I want to create a new C# script. I'm going to call this script coin. And if we wait for it to compile, we can attach it to our coin like so. And we can open it up in Visual Studio. So now what I want to do is very similarly to how we did the enemy character is I want to go below the update function and we're going to type in private void on trigger enter. Void on trigger enter. And then it's going to set itself up very similarly to how we have the on collision enter, except it's automatically going to call this collider other, which is great. We don't have to change it. And we're just going to say if other dot tag is equal to player. Perfect. So now what do we want to do when our player runs into this? What do we want to happen? We want our coin to disappear. We want to create some sort of score that updates in our screen. So first what we'll do is we will destroy our game object. And for now that's all we really need. So if I go ahead and save that, go back into Unity, and let's just hit play really quick and make sure that this is working the way that we want it to. So if we run into the coin disappears. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. So now that we have our player essentially collecting the coin, we want to display us collecting that coin. So how do we do that? We need to create a UI system. We're going to create UI. We're going to create a text. So if we go into 2D mode up here in the scene view, highlight the canvas and click F, it'll focus in on the canvas. And this canvas here is going to basically display over our game screen. I want to change one of the settings here in the canvas scaler, instead of constant pixel size on the UI scale mode, I want to change it to scale with screen size. And that's going to make sure that everything within this box is uniformly the same. So now what I want to do is on the text object, I want to bring this up closer to the top. Scroll and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Center it here and put it directly up at the top. I'm going to change the text to, let's say, 25 kind of as a placeholder. I'm going to bring the font size way up so we can see it a little bit better. And then I'm going to center it in our box, just like that. Let's make this color just a little bit darker. Perfect. So now, what do we want to do? We need to create a script that's going to control everything in our UI system. So let's right click in our project window, create a new C# script. We're going to call this UI Manager. Now we can take this UI Manager and attach it to our canvas directly, and then we can open it up in Visual Studio. So we're going to need a couple of different references. First up, we're going to need let's do a public float score. So this number is going to keep track of our score for us. And anytime we collect a coin, our score is going to go up a little bit. So if we go ahead and save this and go back into our coin script, what I want to do is I want to create a reference to our UI Manager script. So we're going to say private UI Manager, and we're going to call this the canvas. And then, much like we did with the player controller here on our camera controller script, where we did this find object of type, we're going to do the same thing for our UI Manager. Because there's really only going to be one UI Manager in our game. So we're going to say canvas is equal to find object of type UI Manager, parentheses, and end it with semicolon. So now what do we want to do? We want to, when we destroy the game object, we want to call the canvas script, the UI Manager. The variable is score that we want, and we're going to say score plus plus. And what that's going to do is every time this piece of code runs, it's going to add 1 to our score. So if we go ahead and save that, we can actually, let's go back into our UI Manager. Oh, this is still public, good. So if we go back into Unity, it's not going to display up here on our screen quite yet. We still need to set up a couple of different things in order to do that. But you'll see down here in our UI Manager script that we now have a score, and it is currently set to 0. So if we hit play and we pay attention to that score variable, when we collect this coin, our score should go up 1. Perfect. So now what we need to do is we need to make this canvas, this text, reflect that score. So what I want to do is back in Visual Studio, we want to create another variable. Before we do that, similarly to how we reference the scene management system, we want to reference the UI system as well. So we're going to say using Unity engine .ui, and now we can set up a public text, score text. So now what do? In the update function, we want this score text to always be reflecting what this score is. So we can very easily just say score text dot text, and we do this because this is our score text that we want to where we want to display it, and this is the text on the score text that is going to be changed. So score text dot text is equal to score. So it's giving us an error here, and the reason that is this text is a string, and it won't convert a float number to a string just the way that it is. So what we need to do is either we need to say put in a string. You can put in whatever you want. In this case, we're going to actually put nothing, and we're going to say a string plus score, and that'll get rid of our error. An easier way to do that is if we just get rid of this right here, and after score, we can say score dot toString and parentheses, and this will convert this to a string. So let's save that, go back into Unity, and wait for it to compile. And when we hit play, straight away our score is not changing, because on our canvas we now have this score text. We need to reference what text we want to use. So we just click and drag our score text into that slot. And actually what we can do is we can go ahead and rename this text to score. And now if we hit play, it updates to 0, and when we collect the coin, it changes to 1. Perfect. That is exactly what we want. So I think that's gonna do it for this video. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you like and subscribe. What we're gonna do next time is we're gonna create a system where we switch levels based on what score we get, I think. So yeah. So what we're gonna do is we'll make a system where if let's say we collect 5 coins, it will bring us to the next level. But anyways, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.